guys, welcome back. This is Jenny from Finalizing Paper Studio, and today I have a tutorial. This is a Midori style traveler notebook scrapbook mini album inside a cover. This is created with the Nostalgia collection from Authentique Papers, one of my very favorite. This is so retro and so vintagey, and I just love all the paper patterns and fun images. So I created a box cover for keeping my small mini album secured in. This is the front. It is finished on all sides, and it is going to stand up and make a nice display. So if you want to have this out and invite your friends and family to go through and look at your pictures and memories, it will be a nice part of your display. And then inside is that Midori style traveler notebook scrapbook. So let's make this together. To start working on the box for the small mini album, I've got a piece of 12 inch by 6 inch white cardstock. You should use 110 pound if you have that available, so that it will be extra sturdy. If not, it's okay, because you're just going to add so many layers of paper that it will build up the dimension and the sturdiness. So instead of bringing my scoreboard down, I just wrote the dimensions on here because I thought that might be a little bit more easy to follow as I go along. Like I said, this is 6 inches wide now, and I have put my first score line at 1 inch. Then I added a 4 1/4 to that, so now you're at 5 1/4 inches for your next score line. I flipped it over then and did the same thing. So it's 1 inch and then 4 1/4 from there. So that wound up to be 5 1/4, and that left a 1 1/2 inch section in the middle. So once you've got your scoring done, go ahead and fold those lines, and you're going to create a bit of a book shape, and that will create the cover for the book that you put inside. So you can see how that is going to fold up just like that when we have it all assembled. Okay, for the middle, I have another piece of that white cardstock. For the center of the box, I've got a sheet of the same white cardstock, and that is 9 by 4 1/2 inches. So before I started scoring, I took that same sheet and clipped a 1/16 of an inch off of 2 sides. That way I don't have crazy measurements to write down. So just take off 1/16 of an inch on the long side and the short side. Then what you want to do is go to your scoring tool, and you want to score it at 1 1/2 inches. Then flip it and do 1 1/2 inches. And then flip it 1 1/2 and flip it and 1 1/2. Why do we want to do this? Because the fold in this dimension of this paper needs to fit inside this groove that we've created with the scoring of the larger piece, and we don't want it to go over so that the sides won't fold up. So you want it to be a 1/16 of an inch smaller, and then that will sit perfectly in the middle, and you won't have trouble folding the box up and around. So it makes sense to me to do the cuts on the very end instead of over here, because what I want to do is conceal all that with the end piece, and then I don't have cut edges showing on the sides. So put a little double-sided adhesive tape or whatever adhesive that you like on the ends only. Fold in the first one. That will create the box shape, and keep it good and square. Put it down on the board or whatever your work surface is, so that you've got everything lined up nice and perfectly. Take the next set of tape off, and then add that final flap to make this box nice and sturdy. So I would press that down to make sure that you're getting a good contact, and then do the same thing for this side as well. Once you've got this portion of the box made, just add your adhesive here to the bottom of your box and then adhere it to the center of this. So when it folds up, it's going to sandwich that smaller box portion inside. And that is going to create the base for the book, and then we can fill it with the book inside. Okay, so here is my base for my project, and I took that pattern paper from the Nostalgia collection and added it to green cardstock and then adhered it to, this is going to be the inside of the box. And I've got one more for the other side. This not only looks really nice, but it does add quite a bit of structural stability. It's very sturdy when you get all these paper layers on, and it adds to the bulk and the weight. So you do really feel like you've made something very substantial with just the pattern paper layers. So now I can add the cover. Here is what I'm going to do first. I am going to add the pattern paper layers, and then I'm going to adhere some trim between that assembly and then add it to my cover so that I can tie up this book when it's finished. I also finished the smaller flap with a companion paper, still using that green cardstock. So let's do this side. Now you want to remember that you're going to be upside down at this point, so work from the bottom up. Here is my stripe, same as on the other side, and I do usually like to leave 1/8 of an inch border just to keep everything easy to layer. And then, so while I have it flipped over, I do want to add that trim. Now this is from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and this is a gorgeous green taffeta. I will link that in the description below. I've got a little bit of hot glue. I just want to tack that in between the layers so that I know I can tie a good bow and keep this closed when I don't want it to be open. Okay, now maybe I will flip this and work from this side. Same thing as on the other side. I'm going to start with the green cardstock first, leaving that nice border, and then add the pattern paper. This is a lot of pattern going on one side, but because I have alternated the scale and the busyness of the pattern, I'm keeping it very organized and it does not look busy. So here is the base, and to that I will add the plaid, once again using the green cardstock to separate the paper patterns. That's just going right on the bottom. For this card, I'm using a smaller doily, and that's just about in the middle, maybe just a little bit over. And then I'm going to top it with the image that I cut from one of the journal cards. This has a very sweet image, and I used a circle die to cut that, and then a larger one to create a frame. There is the image for the cover, and I'm gonna use my wet adhesive to adhere that. Now is a good time to add my sentiment before I put the flowers on, and this is a portion of the manufacturer strip, just came off of the description edge, so I just really like that sentiment because I love Bing Crosby and anything vintage. So I've got first what I did was adhere it to 210-pound cardstock so that it would be sturdy. I then added a bit of double-sided adhesive on the side that will be supported by the center image, and then I put a little bit more of that foam here so that it would lay flat. So before I had that set in place, I went ahead and tucked in a glitter star here just to bring a little extra detail to the corner. I've got a couple of arrangements here of flowers which consist of just some handmade by me flowers, a couple from my stash. These are petaloo, and they have a nice variety of velvet and netting, so they're a little bit more festive. Here is some die cut foliage and just a couple of little loopy bows and a couple additional stars here to bring that detail out to the edge. So I'm going to add that one, and then here is one more that's just a bit smaller, same flower configuration, stars and die cuts, but just in a more compact version, and that is going to go right here on the top. Okay, so I think that cover is pretty festive and it will be a nice way to display that book. Let's work on the inside a little bit more. I'm going to add the box that will hold the book. For mine, I went ahead and finished all the edges that you could see with more of the pattern paper and that green cardstock again, and I'm just going to set that in place. I've put the adhesive on the bottom, and I just want to make sure that I line that up so that both of my sides will fold up exactly how I want them to. And then the cover for this mini is done. So now we can fold it here and tie it at the top. So let's show you the book that I created for the inside. I'll just show you real quickly how it fits in here. This is tucking right into that box and then tied at the top to keep everything enclosed. I have created a Midori style book. This isn't the traditional Midori size. I just wanted it to fit into that box, so I made mine 4 by 6 inches. For the cover, I've got more of that holiday image using the circle die cut again, layered with the other pattern papers. Here's a small doily, and then to close it, because there isn't a lot of room in there for extra ribbon, usually I like to add a bow and different things on the cover, but that has to stay compact so that it will fit inside. This is attached with a magnet closure, and then I just finished the inside of that with the companion paper so that it would be finished all the way around, and that is going to keep everything nice and secure. So inside is finished with the papers again. This is a recycled noodle box, and I just went ahead and created a hard cover for it, and then I punched holes so that I could string it as like a traveler notebook. And then these inserts are created with that pattern paper. Again, I added a few details like alternating the patterns. This is just a small instant photo frame. You know what I'm talking about there. And then I dressed that up with a sentiment from the cut apart page and some holly and berries. This is a good way to use your glitter paper so that you can add a little sparkle. These inserts both fit on a string, and I counted out the pages. I think I was at 31. So if you wanted to use this as like a December daily, that would work perfectly. And you could even, put something on the inside and outside cover too. So you can get all your details in that if you journal your December. But here is what I've got for the inserts. There are 2. And then each of these pages have some fun little detail or extra layer to them. So more of that glitter star. Here's a tuck spot, place to add your journaling. On this page, I've added more of that journal card. You can add a picture or whatever to the back, but use both sides of that clip so that you can just maybe add details that you want to have both sides shown. You don't want to glue it down, so use that clip for both sides. And then here is another page that has the alternate paper pattern strip. That's a good way to use up your scraps while you're working along so that you can get extra detail without adding extra cuts to your paper. So I put this star on with a clip because I thought if there were a picture here, you might want to tuck the picture behind the star, and that way it's not permanent. You can move it around however it works on your picture. Here is another large star and a photo frame just created with some of the stickers. This element sticker sheet has a lot of good smaller details you can add to dress these pages up. I've got a doily here, more of the glitter and holly. You can see now this one is hand stitched with clear, I don't know if you can see that, stretch cord. This is like the kind you would use if you were making jewelry. That goes in the middle, and then I just stitched that together so that it would be nice and secure. Most of these pages have a similar kind of layout with either a photo frame and some holly or a large star and a place to add journaling. More of the stickers. This is a bow die cut from that same red glitter paper, and then a ticket. For this one, I didn't add adhesive to the sides, so I'm just going to show you. You can slide under a picture and use it as a photo mat when it's, you know, behind the frame. And so that's my first one. The second one has a similar kind of plan with just alternating the pattern papers and adding the journal cards and the different die cut details. So there's plenty of room here to add your pictures and journaling, and the bulk will help to fill that book up and it will still fit in the box. So just lots of fun details, and this nostalgia collection is perfect for if you enjoy vintagey and retro patterns. And of course, plaid is always going to be my favorite. One last page here with the instant photo frame. This is, like I said, a traveler's notebook style. So these are removable if you want to take them out to work on them. It might make it easier to do writing if they're not inside the book. So they're just small inserts. And then you can see the holes where I clipped or I punched to sew it, very tiny ones, because this is small stretch cord and it really, you can't even barely notice it. So there is 2 inserts here. If you need to add extra ephemera or something, you could easily tuck that in as well. And you still have plenty of room in the book before it gets too bulky to close. So here is the inside, and then I will add it to, you see how it just fits perfectly into that box. I'm going to fold up the back and the front and tie it to show you how it looks when it's finished. So once I had my bow tied, I went back in and decided how much of a tail I needed to leave so that it would make tying those bows a lot easier. And that is all for my I'll Be Home for Christmas, a Midori Traveler Notebook mini album and cover. Boy, is that a mouthful. Created with the Nostalgia Collection from Authentique Papers. I will leave a link in the description below if you want to check out that product, as well as for the ribbon. And that is all. If you enjoyed this project, I would be grateful if you'd give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. If you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day. And I thank you so much for watching. Bye.